Bitcoin is trading around $70,000, give or take, and I want to give you a very time-sensitive analysis of what I think is going to be happening next, because obviously cryptocurrency has been moving very aggressively recently, right? And before I get into this, make sure you subscribe, turn on your bell notifications. Everything I say here is very time-sensitive. So where do we start? Bitcoin obviously had a massive crash over the last week. This is also coming off the back of a massive stock sell-off. We have precious metal sell-off, just a lot of de-risking kind of going on across the board. And I think that, while things look very, very doom and gloom, I think that we're due for at least a relief rally. Now, my base case is I think that we're going to be trading probably up to around like $84,000 if that is going to be, the direction that we're heading in right now. Obviously, I have some key areas below us, which is around about $44,000, give or take. That's the next pretty much the high volume sort of area to kind of look out for. Now, I'm not saying we're going to hit that right away or anytime soon. This is obviously a very accelerated bear phase, if you will. And so, I think that it makes a lot of sense considering how fast that we've kind of sold off for us to kind of trade up a little bit more. Now, the main reason why I'm looking for about the $84,000 to $85,000 region is because we have a CME gap around there. And, we just have a lot of liquidity basically built up in that direction. And I think that the exchanges and the market makers and people that have been kind of controlling the price, right? They've manipulated and basically liquidated most of all the long positions, all of the DeFi loans that people were taking out. I think that the treasury companies also kind of got washed out. And so I don't think there's a lot more that they can kind of push the price down in the short term until they build up some, lower liquidity, right? Because that's basically what fuels these moves. It's not necessarily like retail people and major institutions like buying and selling. I think that we all know that most of the big boys that have sold, they've sold at this point. Now, obviously there's some OGs that are, selling, but I think that, it's very easy to eat up that kind of volume when it comes to like ETFs and like the bigger players in the space. So I think that this is going to be a leverage driven move coming up. And so I think that obviously this week could be a little bit volatile. We have jobs reports, we have just various things. I think like 5 members of the Fed are going to be speaking, which obviously moves the markets. I would like to see the stocks kind of hold up. I think that there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the AI and tech stocks. Not to say that I'm not bullish on them, but I think that a lot of them are going to kind of go bust because they're overvalued in my opinion. But at the same time, I am looking to also accumulate stocks because I think that we're going to have a sort of period where they're going to be attractive from an evaluation standpoint. Obviously, you guys kind of watch me for crypto, so we'll stick to crypto basic on this. But, I like to make money in more ways than just one. I've been in stocks before I was even in crypto. I've been in crypto since 2016. And I think that it's really important to be diversified. Not even that, but like precious metals as well. I've always been preaching that, silver always had a space. Now, obviously, this was way before it went up to, all-time highs and kind of sold off 40%. Haven't really been too, interested in gold just because it's been such a boring asset. Obviously, it's outperformed in the last couple of years, but, I've outperformed it with most of my other investments. And so I just, I like to see that the gold bugs are kind of getting their day in the sun, but I'm not really, too excited about gold in particular. That being said, I think that just to give you guys sort of like some insight, right? Because a lot of people are very confused. They don't know where the price is going to go, what strategies they may consider. Now, obviously, I don't give financial advice, but if you're somebody that hasn't maybe sold anything at all and you're very stressed out or you're just over leveraged, I do think that, given my base case, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but the odds would favor a push towards the upside. You could look to de-risk a little bit at that point. Now, obviously there's two sides of the fence, right? You have the people that are maybe overstretched, they're over leveraged and they want to get out of the market or just like de-risk a little bit because they need to maybe pay off some debt or, whatever the case may be. Then you'll probably have a little bit of a window, right? To do this at a higher price in the short term. And then you can consider to maybe buy more on the bottom. Now, obviously you have another people, right? That were kind of taking profits on the way up. And they're starting to actually deploy money as the price goes down. So I don't think anyone's like right or wrong. I think that basically the strategy that you adopt is going to be very personal because everyone's finances are different. Everybody has a different strategy and you're just in a different position, right? And so I think that if you're somebody that is perhaps too risky, I never thought it was a good idea to sell around like $60,000. I personally have been buying spot more, just Bitcoin and Solana personally when it comes to crypto. Hyperliquid as well, but Hyperliquid's been pretty strong recently, so I haven't been buying as heavy. I would love to buy it below like $30, but I don't know if we're gonna get there. So with that being said, obviously that's not financial advice, but I am looking to buy lower. And like I said, for basically my friends that have been over leveraged and are trying to get out of the market or just maybe like deleverage just a little bit because they think that we're gonna go down to like crazy levels way below us, which could not happen, right? my base case with them is just like, look, maybe sell off some portions if we go a little bit higher. Understand that, it is possible that we put in like some sort of bottom for now, but it's always good to have something on the side because you can always do something with that money, right? I'm not saying go leverage it or go bet it, but I know the pain and the struggle of holding on to something that just continues to go down and down and down. And the bad news is like if you're holding altcoins, which a lot of my friends are, and I think a lot of people are holding altcoins because they thought that was going to be outperforming Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes down to like $40,000, $35,000. That altcoin can probably go down like another 50 to 70%, right? And just because an altcoin is down like 80% doesn't mean that it can't go down another 80%. Not to say it's not going to come back, but it's very frustrating and it's very just kind of like a paralyzing position because you can't sell it, right? Because it's like, it's very psychologically hard to do that. And so I'm somebody that's just like, look, if you want to stay in the market and you're very, maybe you don't like a lot of risk, then maybe just consider doing something like Bitcoin, right? Maybe consolidate your stuff into Bitcoin because, obviously if it goes up, it's still going to outperform most assets in my opinion. Bitcoin tends to be the first mover anyway. So like if it goes down, it's not going to go down as much as altcoins. And if it goes up, it'll probably move more aggressively than most altcoins. And then once it kind of consolidates on a key area, then that'll allow the alts to start breathing. And then you can kind of look to maybe go into like other altcoins, right? So, that's just one particular strategy. If you guys have any specific questions or like, investing like mindset or, questions, feel free to drop them in the comments and I can answer them. I don't want to go on too long with this video. I'm going to be making one a little bit later, so be on the lookout for that. With that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. Don't be staring at charts all day, guys. Like I'm going to go work out right now. I'll probably go for like a run outside and maybe get like some sunlight and maybe just go, take a family member out to lunch or something, right? So do something that fulfills you. Don't just always be staring at charts. There's more to life than, making money and staring at, Bitcoin price analysis, right? So with that being said, have a great day, guys. Bye.